the sign goes up, the curtains part, and you hear boom, snap, snap.
That's the sound of Broadway's pulse as it awakens after 18 months of stillness. The COVID-19 Broadway closure has starved Tony-nominated Moulin Rouge star Robin Herder and theater fans of this rush that they crave.
You hear the roar of the audience, and that is the thing that I miss the most. See, I'm crying. I just miss the energy. I miss making people feel good. I just want to make people happy and feel good. And when we flip around and we're just these like animals walking, these panthers, these tigers, these wolves, just walking down the stage, and you just see the audience's face and they're all like this.
Herder finally gets to see those jaws drop again at the Al Hirschfeld Theater starting on September 24th, as Broadway was one of the first businesses to shut down and is certainly one of the last to reopen. Broadway veteran Jeffrey Shecky Schechter feels the theater industry has been hit harder than any other throughout the pandemic.
It's $1 billion a year business, more than that, because people want to be able to escape. And it's ironic that, and also not ironic, that it's the last thing to come back. Broadway and dancers, we're always at the bottom and always working the hardest. So, but we always, it's like we have this Rocky story. We're the underdogs, and then we come in and we make it happen.
What happens on Broadway doesn't stay in the theater. It affects all Midtown Manhattan, the hotels, shops, and restaurants. Tony nominee Tony Yazbek reflects on the moment he stepped into the theater district for the first time after 6 months of quarantining upstate.
Everything on like 8th Avenue, 9th Avenue had shut down. I mean, some of my most favorite restaurants when I first came to the city as an adult, they were everything to me. They were the places we chatted after either shows, or in the mornings we have breakfast and coffee, and they're gone now. There's so many places that are gone, and I just hope and pray that, when Broadway comes back, I think there's going to be a huge explosion in the economy of New York. Because without Broadway in New York, there's just no resounding heartbeat.
It was very depressing to even come close to Midtown, because it was just like a echo of what it used to be, and it seemed like you're in some post-apocalyptic film.
Jake Odemark was part of the Inheritance cast at the time of the shutdown. Despite the show having garnered 11 Tony nominations in 2020, the sparkle of it all feels so distant.
Now I can barely even remember what it's like to see the theater district bustling, and it's just, I think it's hardened us so much. The theater community lives open and buzzing.
Broadway in general, we're all over each other. We are social bugs. This is how we thrive. It's with communication and touching and hugging and socializing, partnering, throwing each other around, sweating on each other. We're just always near each other.
I feel like that part of me is atrophied, you know what I'm saying? And I need it to somebody to reinvigorate it, just to remember what that kind of energy is like, because it's been a hard year.
When Broadway shut down in March of 2020, initially, the actors just thought they'd get a little vacation.
All right, well, let's party for 30 days. It was kind of in a weird way. And obviously, I don't want to say exciting, but I was secretly relieved just because I could give my body a rest. So I was like, I guess I'm just going to hole up in my home for 30 days and rest and enjoy my family time.
Our jobs a lot of times as artists is just to hustle. Mm-hmm. And I was actually partly relieved I didn't have to hustle for the first time.
I remember clearly Easter, we're going to be open again. And so I thought to myself, a month off? Yeah. I mean, I had done 8 shows a week. I mean, Broadway's really hard, so 8 shows a week, I've been doing it, for years and years and years. I was so excited at first. I was in a great mood for probably 2 or 3 months.
It's interesting, when it first started, the cast was constantly texting, constantly. Let's do a Zoom. And then it's interesting that after a few months, it just stopped. And nobody was talking to each other as regularly, because I think it's just you're spiraling. It's literally kind of the worst Groundhog Day.
Mark says prior to the Broadway shutdown, he was an optimistic personality, almost to a fault.
And after a while, it just I had to let go of that, and I had to let out how I truly felt, which was sad. You know, I was really, I was depressed, and I couldn't say that for a long time. Because I felt like it went against who I was, because who I was always happy. But I was happy because I had my soul was happy because I was doing what I love to do.
They sent out the announcement that they were going to extend the shutdown till, I think at that time it was September. And that's when I crashed. That's when it stabbed me in the gut. And I kind of crumbled for about 3 days, where I'd be talking to my husband, Clyde, and I would just break down crying. And I think it was just really hitting me that my body needs to move. And even though I've been doing, you know, I try to run and I try to work out in my basement, I try to dance, it's not the same as performing. Having that energy and that joy and that passion that I get to do every single day. And it really hit me that I'm like, it's gone.
Years ago, while struggling between gigs, Shecky started his own dance and theater company for kids called I Can Do That. In addition to the extra income the classes bring in for him and his wife, he credits the business for keeping him busy and feeling fulfilled during the pandemic.
I want to encourage people that are having a hard time to just keep looking for it, to be inspired, to, if there's even an ounce of something that's gnawing at your gut, to say, get up and just start writing. Get up and go for a run. Get up, just put on some, just do something. Don't sit in the sadness of what is right now. Sit in the possibility of what can be.
After almost a year of sitting in sadness, Odemark took a job he prided himself on never having had as an actor in New York City.
You know, when I first moved to New York, I was like a doorman, and I passed out flyers, and I was a coat check guy, but I never waited tables, and I like really kept that like, you know, feather in my cap.
Even though the unemployment check he was collecting throughout the pandemic was comparable to the money that he now makes serving at 2 restaurants, Odemark said he was going crazy just sitting on the couch.
The routine helps me. I get to talk to people again. I feel myself. I feel my spirit come back a little bit when I get to like talk to people and actually like feel their energy, and we get to talk about Broadway, and then, you know, we can reminisce, and then so next thing I know, I feel a lot better when I come home at night and feel productive. But it's crazy. I feel like I'm in a different dimension. You know, like sometimes I'm sitting at a table taking someone's order, and I go, what is happening? You know, where am I? Am I really taking some guy's broccoli and kale salad order right now? Like, who would have thought that a year ago?
And driving the set.
Yazbek, who has been part of 11 Broadway shows and will be playing Cary Grant in Flying Over Sunset,
Flying over sunset.
starting in December, thinks Odemark should be proud of himself.
I think we measure success in such toxic ways, especially in our business, like, you know, what relationship you're in, or how much money you have, or where do you live, or how seen are you, what are the optics. But I think it's really about how you adjust in life. How do you evolve? And if you did that really well, then you're successful.
Although the year had its ups and downs, Herder ultimately feels she changed for the better. Wicked pun, totally intended.
I'm going to look back at this and look at it as probably the most important time of my life.
Are you ready to do the time warp again?
You get wrapped up in Broadway, and it consumes you. You sacrifice everything. You miss weddings, you miss holidays, you miss birthdays, you miss putting your kid to bed every night. And it was sometime around September, October that I just became the most present I've ever been, focused, like really listening to my son, really tasting food and drink. You know what I mean? Like really like hyper-focused and present, which is what we aim for.
I've found the ability to have simple joys more than I've ever had in my life. I've never been able to like stare at my son's eyes and be that just overjoyed for that long, months and months on end.
While having extra leisure time, Shecky started jogging around the city listening to Broadway cast recordings, and he noticed something.
In musical theater, there's always an I want song.
I can do that.
A song that the main character wants something. And in all of these shows, so many of these songs represent how we all want and need to be able to take off the mask, to be together, to hug, to love, to sit in a theater together. That fight to get there, that when we do get there, man, it's gonna be an emotional it's going to be a beautiful thing.
Well, that time has finally come as some of Broadway's longest running shows like Hamilton, Wicked, The Lion King, and Chicago reopen this week with mask and vaccine requirements for the audience. So how's it going to feel when the curtain goes up?
I mean, if I really sit and imagine that, I mean, it brings me to tears to think about that.
I have so many scenarios, and those scenarios always end in I'm going to weep my face off, downstage center when I first walk out there because I'm playing Cary Grant at Lincoln Center Theater on Broadway. I'm going to walk out there, I'm going to have tap shoes on, and I'm going to look out at the audience, and I'm going to pretend I don't see them, but I'm going to see them, and I'm just going to feel the moment, and it's going to be overwhelming.
The amount of tears, of joy and release, I think I don't know, enough to fill the Hudson maybe, and the East River maybe. I don't know. It's gonna be pretty amazing.